Hey everyone, this is Ashley Ingalls-Ross. I'm the Vice President of the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber Small Business Office, and I am here today with Rigved Joshi. He is the Assistant Vice President for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and the Director for the Invention to Innovation Center, or I2C, at UAH, which is where we are today. Thank you so much for having us, Rigved.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to start off, if you would, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to I2C.
Sure. So I came to the I2C to Huntsville in 2017. Prior to 2017, I was pretty much based out of California and working on commercialization of technologies and also doing work in the venture capital and private equity space.
Okay.
I transitioned from California to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, where I really got my first, I would say, opportunity to dabble in the academic space.
Okay.
At Vandy, I was managing the portfolio of intellectual property that we were looking to commercialize, and then also supporting startups that had licensed technology from Vanderbilt.
Okay.
So my transition to Huntsville or to the I2C was essentially as I2C, or the plans for the I2C were getting ready. That's when I had the opportunity to explore this position, and I got here in 2017, and it was I've been here since then.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about the center, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So we opened doors to the I2C in July of 2019, just before the pandemic, and the goal was to try and help the greater Huntsville area diversify beyond just the DoD economy.
Okay.
And one way to do that was to champion entrepreneurship and the creation of new ventures in the technology space.
Okay.
So basically, help entrepreneurs, help ideators, help startups get the right kind of resources to take their ideas and take their businesses forward. So we have an incubator over here. So we have this beautiful physical space.
Yes, it is beautiful.
It's about 45,000 square feet. We can support about 25 to 30 startups in a physical office environment over here.
Okay.
It's pretty much Class A office space. And then we also have opportunities to have events, to collaborate, and just create a very dynamic ecosystem where everybody can come together, learn about entrepreneurship, learn about what it takes to build a startup, engage with one another, and create those positive collisions so that they can grow, scale, ideate, and things of that nature.
So I think something that can kind of be somewhat misleading, and I'm going to let you describe it, right? You're on UAH's campus.
Yes.
So I think even for myself, when I first learned about it, I thought, well, it's the campus. These are students. This is what this is all about.
Right.
But that's not necessarily what it is. So, or not at all. So can you kind of help people understand the relation to UAH and its reach off of UAH?
Sure, absolutely. And that's a great question. Typically when you see buildings or when you see these initiatives on university campuses, for most part, they're focusing inward. They're focusing on faculty, students, staff, as it relates to innovation, as it relates to commercialization, as it relates to startups and things of that nature. The I2C is different in a manner where we are more regionally focused.
Okay.
So the whole premise, and again, the idea for the I2C was created to try and drive a diversification strategy beyond the DoD vertical in this region.
Okay.
So although we are anchored to UAH, we are very much part of UAH, and I'm an employee of UAH, and we love supporting students and faculty and staff as it relates to their entrepreneurial journeys or their ideation journeys. We are more about the community in itself. So we support 15 counties, including Madison County, which is where we sit. Of those counties, 2 of them actually in South Central Tennessee as well.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So it's a regional innovation effort. Our grant is structured through the EDA, is structured that way as well. And the goal is to try and maximize the impact of what we can drive when it comes to education, when it comes to mentorship, when it comes to strategic support, when it comes to connecting the dots for the community as a whole, above and beyond UAH as well. Now, of course, being on UAH's campus and being over here where we are, allows us to leverage all the assets that UAH brings to bear.
Right.
That includes the amazing talent of students, whether they want to explore internships, whether they want to explore their own companies, it's faculty for joint research and so on and so forth. And most importantly, amazing access to equipment and facilities and labs that we have at
Yes.
at UAH at different locations as well.
So you mentioned strategizing, mentorship, access to all of these resources. We've talked to a couple accelerators,
Sure.
business accelerators, but I2C is an incubator.
Right.
Can you help us understand the difference between the two?
Right, absolutely. So an accelerator is more, the way I see it, is more of a more focused program that is time bound. So in a sense, typically an accelerator will be anywhere between 4 weeks to 6 weeks to 10 weeks.
Okay.
And traditionally, an accelerator model typically has some funding associated with it as well.
Okay.
So if you are an accelerator, if you're a company that's applying to an accelerator, you apply, go through the process, you get selected, you get some form of funding, and you go through a program for that duration of time, the end of which typically culminates in a demo day. So it's time bound, it's time driven for most part. In a majority sense, there's money involved, and there's an exchange of equity of some sort, whether it's through a direct equity model or whether it's through a convertible note.
Okay.
And then in exchange for that, you go through the program, you go through the education, you go through the connectivity, and you at the end of the day, hope that you flushed your idea, you flushed your business model enough where you get in front of investors on demo day and get that first round of funding, or maybe get that follow-on funding and so on and so forth.
Okay.
For us as an incubator, it's a longer program.
Okay.
In itself, we give our companies 3 years to come here and explore their business, explore scaling their business model to the next level.
Okay.
Right? We don't offer any money. We don't have a capital or we don't have a fund associated with our incubator.
Okay.
And typically that's the case as well.
Okay.
You will also see a lot of times that accelerators are part of an incubation model. So
Okay.
you accelerate
Yep.
the company and then you incubate it beyond that funding cycle.
Okay.
Right? So
Okay.
you go through the accelerator, you go through your 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks, whatever it may be. And then once you do well, once you potentially, in the best case scenario, get funding, you become a part of an incubator where you get an additional, time to basically incubate and take yourself and take that funding and scale to the next level before you graduate out of the incubator.
Okay.
Very, very quickly, accelerators are short. Everything is condensed in a certain time frame, and there's money involved. For incubators, typically it's a longer time in terms of support and strategy, and in terms of the model. And for most part, there's no funding involved in incubators.
Okay.
Or in the incubation model.
And so they have 3 years to work out of this building.
For us, yes. Typically it's 3 years for the new ones. Otherwise, it's 5 years
Okay.
for the ones who we carried forward since opening doors.
Well, it's very exciting. I've actually, the chamber through our Breakfast in Biz has actually worked with one of your tenants. So I'm anxious to show everybody the rest of the building and
Absolutely.
maybe meet a
Yeah.
couple folks. So why don't
Yeah.
we hop on out, walk the halls and see what we see. So here we are in this absolutely beautiful space.
Cool.
Tell us a little bit and show us around.
Yes, again, welcome to the I2C. This is our main lobby. This is the area this is the floor where we do most of our events and most of our collaboration, activities, workshops, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, people will enter through this door. This is our atrium area, and then we have a cafe area as well. Yeah. And we can just walk towards our main event space, which can hold about 150 people.
Okay.
And it's all plug and play. Really easily set up in terms of AV and stuff. Again, the goal is how can we have, as many events as we can to create those positive collisions and create those collaboration opportunities. And you'll see this setup, this sort of cafe setup in all the floors, the second floor and the third floor as well. Again, the goal is how can we have people come and create those opportunities to connect with one another.
Wonderful.
Right?
Yeah.
So lots of areas, lots of common areas where people can do that. That's really the goal. Let's go and see what else is happening on the first floor.
That sounds great.
So towards my right, we have our administrative suite. So we met in my conference room. This is
That's
where
right.
I sit. This is where some of our interns sit, and so on and so forth. We have a sponsor wall, of course. Again, access to the cafe area. And then along this hallway, we have a boardroom, which is more of a formal conference room space, where if you have an important customer, you have an investor you want to bring in, or you want to actually have a boardroom and need a formal setting.
Yes.
This is the place where companies can go.
And since some of the fun, yeah, I think what we have coming up is a pretty fun,
Yes.
pretty fun spot down here.
So this is another very interesting
This
space.
is a great, I've actually been to a couple of meetings in here, great space that can be set up
Right.
in all different ways. I think when I was here, it was set up like in a big donut, all the tables were
Right.
moved around.
Right. So a lot of times, our main event room is booked.
Okay.
And you may not really warranty a space that big.
Right,
So we've
right.
created this as like a workshop, if you want to conduct workshops or
Okay.
big meetings, private meetings, trainings. This is a great room that you can, great sort of a setup that you can use as well. This can accommodate about 50 people.
Okay.
In a classroom setting. It's again decked out for AV, very easy, plug and play, and all our companies or even companies from outside have access to use this space. Let's do more of the tour.
So fun. The Spark Studio, very student-esque in my opinion. I
Sure.
think it's a lot of fun. This is great. This is a really neat spot here
Yes.
at the I2C.
So one aspect of running an incubator is the education piece, and as part of that education piece, we develop a lot of content, whether it's podcasts, whether it's startup 101s, whether it's interviewing entrepreneurs from within the community. There's so much that we can do in terms of really creating that awareness, creating those sticky points in terms of driving the right kind of relationships that we want to drive in an environment like this. And
Yeah.
really the goal being, let's create an ecosystem that supports entrepreneurship at the regional level, which is really the key mantra. So one part of that strategy is to do podcasts, is to drive content and so on and so forth. So we said, why not we set up a podcast studio at the I2C? We
Right.
have amazing space, it's collaboration space. So we had a sponsor who donated all the equipment. It was Project XYZ.
Oh, wonderful.
And we set this up, I think it was about 3 years back.
Okay.
And our interns use it. We've done a ton of content creation in this space, and it's fully decked out, in a studio style.
Okay,
All right,
here we
let's
go.
go up. Let's see what's happening upstairs. So what we are going to do now is go to the second floor. And the second and third floor of this building are pretty much decked out as incubation spaces. So we've got office spaces of different sizes on the second and third floor. So our second and third floor, as I mentioned earlier, are basically our incubation spaces, offices of different sizes, companies of different sizes. And you'll see as you walk through each of these floors, as I mentioned to you earlier, collaboration is a big piece of this initiative. So you'll
Right.
see collaboration spaces where companies can come, individuals can come and just interact with each other and just have a place to get together. Right? So you have the cafe areas, you have these collaboration nooks, you've got wide walkways where people can easily stand and talk to one another. There's certain elements of, design that have gone into the planning of this building that make it so conducive to create those positive collisions, as I may say so. We provide them with internet, electricity, security, access, custodial services, and then of course, the strategic support to help them grow.
And companies rent their space here,
Yes,
right? Okay.
yes. Companies will rent their space, so they pay a monthly rent, and that's how a part of our operations are supported as well.
Right.
Now, what is also unique about the I2C is you will see some large companies that are sprinkled between these startups.
Yes, tell us about that.
We would love to welcome innovation teams of larger companies to come and utilize the I2C as a sandbox or a skunk works for their innovation teams.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of interaction between the
Yes.
large and
Yeah.
you do? That's
yeah.
wonderful.
And we make that happen through the events that we have over here. Each floor comes with 2 conference spaces.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got one over here, we've got one over there, and we've got 2 call rooms. And again, the idea is, you can utilize these common spaces to conduct your meetings and things of that nature.
This This has been great. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
your time. Thank you so much
Yes.
for taking us around.
I'm glad we could squeeze a tour as a part of the
That's
interview
right.
as well.
That's right. I think this will
Um,
be great for our viewers, and I'm glad that we can kind of shed some light for the
Absolutely.
community on what
Thank you for the opportunity.
I2C is and answer some questions for folks. So thank you again.
Thank you for
having
the
us.
opportunity, and thank you to the Chamber for being a good friend of the I2C as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Well, we'll see what comes up next, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.